You're watching the news summary on Kazakh TV, review of the major news of this week from Kazakhstan. I'm Jana Sagandikova. Good evening. The Nur Otan party has initiated 3 anti-corruption draft laws on public control, on combating corruption and on access to information. According to the Majilis member Aigul Solovyova, this is only a part of the measures designed to build a professional state apparatus without any corruption outlined in the 100 Concrete Steps program for the implementation of the 5 institutional reforms. Next year, Kazakhstan will accede to the Convention on Criminal and Civil Liability for Corruption, and in 2017 the country will enter the group of states against corruption called GRECO. Last year, more than 2,000 corruption incidents have been detected, generally in cases referred to the distribution of land, housing and lending to small and medium-sized businesses.
We
need to conduct a lot of work in the new legislations, the introduction of the Universal Declaration of not only income but also expenditures.
At the same time, Astana is seeking ways to effectively counter corruption. In the program 100 Concrete Steps, President explained why it is necessary to fight it down.
The amounts of hidden and unclaimed income remain large. Periodically, big official scandals do happen in different parts of the country. One of the know-hows has been introduced by the Astana Police Department. They started using video recording badges. The officers are obliged to have them on at all times during their shifts, even if it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Statistics show that already the new devices have made positive adjustments. Bribes on the roads have decreased. We have a responsible inspector who, using his password, opens and downloads everything from the DVR hard drive. For the whole day, the inspector's actions are being monitored as well. The Public Anti-Corruption Council held the second meeting over the past 2 weeks. The new 10-year strategy needs to be explained in all the regions. Although things seem to be simple, the emphasis will be made on prevention and the formation of a mass anti-corruption culture. The program is designed to break the system of bribery. In this case, experts advise to remember previous experience. The regional governors, attorneys, heads of Regional Department of Internal Affairs and the first head of Financial Police were members of the disciplinary board before. At present, public councils don't have such members, unfortunately. The new strategy is gaining momentum. Embezzlers will be punished. The civil service reform stipulated in the 100 Steps program is utmost important. Officials will face a 3-stage selection, including training, testing, and strict examination. Legislators say that even a hint on a bribe will immediately put an end to any employee's career. An individual must have consciousness that he or she must not commit such crimes. Then the person won't get involved in corruption. One must not violate the ethics of relationships with people. The anti-corruption program is the priority of the state for the next coming years. The reforms will give results. Changes will affect the economy. After all, the confiscated money will bring profit to the nation instead of getting into someone's pocket.
Kazakhstan will expand the range of branded products that will go for export. Domestically produced dairy, meat and pasta will seek recognition on the shelves of foreign supermarkets. Big plans are being developed to be implemented on a large scale in the near future. $16 billion will be invested in the country's agricultural sector. But that is not all. Soon, the big money will come into the industry. Foreign investors are ready to help Kazakhstan. But how and under what conditions? These questions were settled today in Astana.
These are businessmen of world class, and it is quite difficult to get them all together in one place. However, in this case, they are not intimidated by long flights. Each year, businessmen arrive at the Council of Foreign Investors. After all, it is not so often that they have an opportunity to meet with the head of state personally, and more so, to agree on preferences. At that time, the entrepreneurs were allowed to travel to Kazakhstan without a visa. Now, the investors are asking to extend the list of countries that would have a visa-free regime with Kazakhstan. But in general, the business elite gathered in Astana to talk about the development of agribusiness. They showed the president the future dairy and meat processing complexes. Nevertheless, these projects are still proved insufficient. The agricultural sector has not yet become the driver of economic growth and diversification of our economy. The import of goods has grown by 45% over 5 years and more than $4 billion a year. Half of the consumed cheeses and poultry meat, more than 40% of sausages and butter is still imported. All these products can be produced domestically. For those who are willing to invest, there is a guaranteed sales market. The head of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is convinced that Kazakhstan can provide enough for local needs and can close gaps on the global scale. The financier arrived in Kazakhstan for business meetings and, as it turned out, for the delicious food that he liked.
And as always, it's a pleasure to be here. And one of the reasons I really enjoy coming to Kazakhstan, I have to say, on a personal level, is the hospitality and also the absolutely delicious food. So I'm particularly happy that we're discussing agriculture today. I've enjoyed rather many examples of local produce, rice grown in Kizilorda.
Kazakhstan is already importing all the products the banker has mentioned. From 8 to 10 million tons of wheat are shipped to Central Asia and Europe. In total, the country exports its products to 70 countries. Kazakhstan can significantly expand the production and export of its own branded products. We are importing a large number of breeding cows, bulls for fattening, try to engage in the export of meat to the neighboring Russia, which imports from Latin America over 500,000 tons of meat. When we are their close neighbor, we could also produce and sell. Further on, the volumes of production will only increase. $16 billion will be invested in the food sector. The point is to increase the production, to process it, put on counters, in stores and sell it. The market is ready. This is a dream for any business. There is a place to produce and to process, a place to sell and earn money. Today, businessmen will return back to their homes to mull over the complex financial calculations and negotiations on where and how much to invest. The next time, investors will discuss the future of the financial center called Astana.
Kazakhstan is in the list of world's 10 grain exporters and the world leader in exporting flour. Over 18 million acres were reserved for crops cultivation, while 12 million was designated for wheat sowing, mostly in the northern region of the country. Rice, buckwheat, canola, soybeans, oats, cotton and sugar beets are cultivated in the southern Kazakhstan. Fruit and vegetables are grown in separate fields. The entrepreneurs seeking business in Kazakhstan's market with their innovations and developments will have very favorable conditions. They will be exempted from the payment of land and corporate income tax. In general, the country guarantees the fixed tax legislation and will expand its own brand production in the near future. In particular, the processing sector has a high potential, as said Isakashev announced.
Chemicals, fertilizers and irrigation are not being allocated in a manner which would allow the land to be used optimally. In other cases, the types of crops being grown or the types of livestock is being raised on some parcels of land.
We consider the questions of how to include agricultural land turnover through the simplification of procedures and conditions for their acquisition in private ownership. We will also elaborate issues on the lifting of restrictions to land transactions in the secondary market, such as the simplification of the procedures for changing the target destination, reduction of the time for transactions and registration. We will continue working with both global and average investors from different countries, because not only the French or Korean investors are interested in cooperation with us, but also such unusual for us investors as Croatians, Polish or Australians.
An international auto rally race will show the quality of Kazakhstan's roads. The country has launched the first stage of the rally with the participation of Kazakhstani and foreign experts. Participants are pursuing an ambitious goal: the development of road network and all associated transport infrastructure in the Central Asian region. The itinerary will include 3 countries.
During their run through Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, the auto rally participants will monitor the conditions of roads in the prospective transport corridor from the border of Kazakhstan and China to the borders of Tajikistan and Afghanistan. In total, 100 participants from different countries, mostly experts in the field of road construction, will study the development of the road network and all transport infrastructure in the Central Asian region. They plan to analyze and put forward solid proposals on the development of the road network in the region. Kazakhstan's section of the rally will run through the Almaty-Khorgos road, which is under construction and is part of the global project Western Europe, Western China. The rally participants were able to examine the quality of the construction.
This road is here, then from Shymkent to our Almaty-Khorgos, we applied.
Large-scale construction of roads in Kazakhstan shows the realization of the state program of infrastructure development Joly and 100 concrete steps for the implementation of the 5 institutional reforms recently announced by the head of state. I think that these objects in which we are engaged at the moment, for example, the road, will be finished next year. I think that they will serve for decades to the people of Kazakhstan, and also residents of other countries will be able to use these roads. At present, 11 major road projects of international and national importance are being introduced under the Joly program. In addition, 90% of the construction materials used in the reconstruction of roads was made in Kazakhstan.
5,000 jobs will be created in Turkestan in the near future. An international transport and logistics terminal will open new opportunities for the southern region and its residents. The project will start a new landmark of Kazakhstan's trade relations with its closest neighbors.
There is a good reason behind the creation of the Commerce and Logistics Center in Turkestan. The city is located along the Great Silk Road. Many centuries back, it was a major trading center for the passing caravans. The city has retained its status to this day. The retail format that meets modern requirements was formed in these lands. Summers are not hot in here, winters are warm, it is clean. There are favorable conditions to work. People come from everywhere, from Aktau and other regions, to buy goods because the prices are more affordable. The center signed a contract on direct delivery of goods with many manufacturers in the southern region, which excludes the participation of the mediators and the unjustified raise in prices for the products.
We
will have only imposed transport costs and at least the minimum staff, and the price will be lower. Now the entrepreneurs have begun the construction of a transport and logistics terminal. 20 hectares of land has been allocated for its construction. Nearby, there are railways and highways. For our city, both projects have a social significance. There will be new jobs, the development of trade and support for entrepreneurs. The spheres of services and trade for Turkestan are significant. They account for 28% of the total gross domestic product. The project will create 5,000 new jobs. The agreements have been signed with foreign partners. The transit cargo after the customs clearance will move further to Europe and Russia.
Country's airports will undergo reconstruction following the example of the capital's airport, as announced by the representative of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Alexander Tatyanin, during the signing of a new project in Astana. The EBRD will allocate 8.5 billion tenge for a large-scale repair. Reconstruction was necessary in view of the upcoming Expo 2017.
This is not just a loan. We also connect it with a tariff deregulation. Astana Airport is a pilot project, and if it is completed successfully, we hope that this experience will be replicated in all airports in Kazakhstan.
President of the EBRD, Sir Suma Chakrabarti, has arrived in Astana to sign the new agreements. He met with Minister of National Economy Yerbulat Desaev and Minister of Energy Vladimir Shkolnik. They also signed a project to fund the first large solar power plants, as well as the project of modernization of water supply system in Shymkent and Aktabe. 10 million euro will be provided to Shymkent and over 6.5 million euro to Aktabe. 6 schools and 1 kindergarten in Baikonur were transferred to Kazakhstan. Majilis approved the ratification of agreement between the governments of Kazakhstan and Russia on the transfer of educational institutions in Baikonur from September 1st. From that day forward, the schools will adopt the Kazakh system of education.
We
established a special working group to handle the transfer. The school properties will be transferred to the Kazakh side free of charge.
The number of the participants of the Serpent program will triple. Over 6,000 scholarships will be allocated for the new applicants from the southern and western regions that are willing to enroll to the universities of the industrially developed northern regions. This was announced in Pavlodar, where a new dormitory for students was commissioned within the frame of the Serpent project. Find out in our next story what the Serpent project is about, what new opportunities it opens for the applicants, and what kind of student accommodation is being built for them.
Aysulu moved to Pavlodar from Omsk, and her friend Nazarke arrived from the southern Kazakhstan. The girls say that the Irtysh region is industrially developed with many new businesses and are hopeful to get employed in this region. The Serpent program is linked to the Accelerated Industrial Development Program. The purpose of the project is to provide with qualified staff for the new industrial enterprises.
Проект «Серпент» направлен на то, чтобы
The Serpent aims to ensure that young people from the labor surplus regions move to work in regions where there is a shortage of personnel, and first of all, through the training. That means bringing high school graduates to the regions and teaching qualifications that are in demand there, which include mostly technical majors. Students move to study to Pavlodar from all regions. The accommodation issue has been completely solved for them.
Мы сегодня обеспечим полностью всех желающих проживать.
We will provide every student with accommodation. This dormitory will accommodate 500 students. It is almost an apartment-type hostel.
Фактически это общежитие квартирного типа.
Pavlodar-type student accommodations will be built in 8 other regions, according to the new program. The number of scholarships will rise for the applicants. At least 6,000 students will get a degree under the Serpent program. In 2014, during the first and pilot year, there were 3 times fewer scholarships within this program.
The Cabinet of Arabic Studies opened at Gumilov Eurasian National University. Rector of the university and heads of diplomatic missions in Arab countries cut the red ribbon in a solemn ceremony. 11 embassies sponsored the cabinet with the equipment and presented books and teaching materials in the Arabic language as gifts. From now on, the lectures of ambassadors of Arab countries and cultural activities of the Faculty of Oriental Studies will be held in this study room.
Already before the opening of the cabinet, we met with the students, had conversation with them, and talked about the culture of the Arab countries. Now, with the opening of the Office of Arabic Studies, I'm sure our meeting will take place more often.
Kazakh scientists will receive $100,000 for the development of their research projects. 26 works will receive grants. The commission, headed by Secretary of State Kultura Abdikalikova, has selected the most notable works. Such contest is being held for the first time. The focus is made on projects aimed at creating new products and technologies. The advanced innovations should be the foundation of the Kazakh society, officials believe.
The
State Science and Technology Prize, named after Al-Farabi, has been established by the decree of the Kazakh head of state in order to increase the prestige of scientific work and stimulate scientists into breakthrough scientific research.
Scientists from Shymkent managed to prolong expiry date of the fermented milk called Shubat. With the introduction of this new formula, the healthy drink does not necessarily need to be stored in a refrigerator. The renewed product will be extended to 3 months expiration period. The developers have found a way to stop the fermentation process without using harmful preservatives. The idea has been patented by the Kazakh Academy of Nutrition.
Scientist Musatila Takhanov has presented Shubat. Students, teachers, scientists were invited to taste this delicious drink. We almost do not use any preservatives or chemicals. This is a completely different technology. We have stopped the process of sour milk fermentation, thus the drink preserves its healthy properties. The developer has received a patent for his invention. However, he wants to continue experimenting and develop dry Shubat in tablets, granules, and powder. Nowadays, it is both timely and in demand. We can say that even now, camel's milk is deeply not processed compared to other agricultural. It is initially processed and consumed by the population. This laboratory is equipped with real production equipment, which Musatila Takhanov uses for his experiments. Now he's working on producing yogurt and sour cream from camel's milk. Our product fully retains the whole nominative quality, natural product with vitamin C and other elements. The scientist presents his inventions at scientific exhibitions. However, so far he has not met any investors interested in his works. The financial support was provided by the state. He has recently won a state grant in the amount of 10 million tenge. He plans to invest the money into manufacturing of his products for sale.
The green cyclist topiary sculptures in Almaty city center have become the mainstream in the social networks and the media in the whole country. The green riders are attracting drivers and Almaty residents along one of the main avenues of the city. The green wrestlers and skaters will join them later.
Traditionally, topiary sculptures are carved out of bushes, but given Almaty's difficult climate, such bushes simply wouldn't live long as it's too cold in the winter and too hot in the summer. Despite the challenges, the new way to decorate the city before summer has been figured out.
У нас живая изгородь, и другие, они или мерзлые, или сбрасывают листву.
We have green hedges. They're either frozen or shed leaves. The effect of green men gets lost. Based on that, it was proposed to use green moss. It can withstand both heat and cold. Also, the night lighting will be installed here. That is, it will be the night and day compositions.
Также здесь будет установлена ночная подсветка.
In addition, green moss keeps excellent shape, and this uniform reflects the spirit of sportsmanship of Almaty, which is famous for its bike rides and marathons. Many of us are engaged in cycling as this sport is developing in Kazakhstan. It is very appropriate and it encourages young people to do sports. It's wonderful. It complements the city's interior. That was unexpected. I was surprised when I saw them when driving. I thought, well done. In general, the city seems prettier now. Next month, similar green wrestlers will join the cyclists near the Baluan Sholak Sports Palace. Also, skaters at Medeu and skiers will decorate the famous skate jumps. Green dancers will dance in front of the hours of theater, and a film tape will float in front of the Kazakh film. Vertical gardening, which has become a hallmark of Almaty, complements the traditional forms. 30,000 new trees will be planted in the city.
Over 30 women have organized a bride parade in Aktau. The participants, dressed in wedding dresses, wanted to address the support of true family values. Local residents got the chance to witness this wonderful flash mob.
Внимание! 3, 4, раз, два, три. Столько невест у меня еще не было.
People greeted the beauties in white dresses marching through the streets. The ladies had to pay for their participation in this event, but the cause was worth it. Organizers decided to transfer all the raised funds to the support of large and low-income families. After all, the idea of the campaign was aimed at maintaining family values. People need to build families. It is necessary to raise children. Love, motherhood, family are universal values that are very important for everyone. Looking at these brides, I remember my own wedding. I think it was a good idea. Indeed, we need to promote family values among our youth. People become stronger within a family. Women who already have their families also took part in the parade to support the charity event. We decided to come together in these beautiful dresses and have fun, refresh, and experience something that every girl dreams of, to feel what it's like to be a bride. And this purity of soul gives a joyful, positive mood.
И эта чистота в душе дает радостное настроение и позитив на будущее.
After the camera flashes, loud applauses, and admiring glances, girls in white dresses held an auto marathon where each of them had to choose a vehicle to their taste. Some chose limousines, some bikes.
Last week, the SCO member states rescue operations training was held in the Almaty region. According to the training scenario, the rescuers had to conduct operations after a devastating earthquake that had cost 200,000 injured residents, collapsed buildings, accidents of chemical contamination at dangerous enterprises, and unstoppable fires.
Russian Emergency Situations Ministry plane, rescue workers from China, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan arrived for the training on rescue hardware. Kazakhstan had demonstrated the capacity of its vehicles, with the main indicator being strength and permeability. All Kazakh rescue units arrived at the scene of natural disaster, and according to the scenario, an emergency on a global scale was declared. The help of the world rescue community was required. The exercise involved also K9 units looking for victims in the rubbles. Measures were taken to eliminate the chemical contamination. The fires were extinguished from the air, while the Kaz Aviaspas pilots demonstrated aerobatics, performing maneuvers maneuvers on Eurocopter helicopters and poured water over the fire hazards. The people were breathless watching the air operations, while the paragliders also attracted attention.
Понятно, что есть волнение, есть определенные.
It is clear that there is a certain worry. It was extremely hard, so my crew worked very well. However, the Vice Minister of Civil Affairs of China, Gu Zhaozi, was impressed by Kazakh aviators. Doctors deployed a field hospital where all the victims received assistance. Russian Central Rescue Squad representatives are here. They had just returned from Nepal. Tajik and Kyrgyz colleagues have experience in holding rescue operations in the mountains. We have to harness this experience to protect our people. The SCO offers cooperation and support during difficult times. Today, rescuers demonstrated in practice that joint efforts, mutual assistance are the best way out of difficult situations.
These were the main news for the past week on Kazakh TV. You're watching the news summary from Kazakhstan, my home country. I'm Jana Sagandikova. I'll see you later. Have a good and productive week. Goodbye.